Ivey's going to raise it up. He makes it 1,800. He's got a couple of 10s there. We've got an action flop here. Tony G is flop top 2 pair.
All in.
And look at this. Tony G check raises all in. Pot is $138,000.
Well, he's decided to call.
And the river is the king of clubs, and Tony G is going to win this pot. Tony G is going to play though. He's going to raise it up with a couple of 7s.
Patrick Antonius, he may well call here.
I think he's thinking of re-raising this one with Jack 10.
Wow, what a flop.
And look at that. Patrick Antonius bets $50,000 and an immediate call from Tony G. It's the Tony G show. Antonius got trip aces, but Ivey's got a full house 9s full of aces. The pot is already nearly $17,000.
Wow, what a card.
4 on the river. And Antonius has made full house. Patrick Antonius moves all in. And
he says call.
He is called. This is the biggest pot in the history of televised poker in Europe. It's unbelievable. Patrick Antonius likes his 7.
Oh, and Chris Ferguson here with the ace-queen. He's going to defend.
This is an interesting flop here. And
well, it's an all-in race from Chris Ferguson. We weren't expecting this in the commentary box. This takes some real heart.
Antonius has got to be sick, but at this point he's got to let it go. Great play by Chris Ferguson.
From America and across Europe, the big names have brought the big money to London, and this game is all about making your friends go broke. Each player is starting with a minimum of $100,000 of their own cash, and if they lose it, they can simply reach into their own pockets and buy back in. The starting lineup for this game is a who's who of poker. Lithuanian-born Tony G now lives in Australia. He is a player who likes to impose himself at the table, and after tasting a little bit of success last year, is hungry for more. Howard Lederer is the professor, and he'll be using his experience to capture his rivals' chips. 4 bracelets and $3.5 million already won. Another American, Alan Cunningham, has picked up 5 World Series of Poker bracelets and has nearly $10 million worth of cash in the bank. Another American, Andy Bloch, is a rock, paper, scissors champion and has nearly $3 million in poker tournament prize money. Chris Jesus Ferguson is a man used to success. Living in Las Vegas, he has $6 million in tournament prize money. Phil Ivey is widely regarded as the best cash game player in the world. This golf fanatic will be confident of adding to his tournament winnings. Heralding from Finland, Patrick Antonius now lives in Las Vegas. He is one to watch, and this tennis player will be looking for the aces. Brian Townsend is a famous online player, but he is used to the big time and is a regular high-stakes cash game player.
Hello and welcome to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 million cash game in association with 50 London. We have got 11 of the world's most notorious high rollers who've all brought hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money to the table in order to try and make as much profit as possible over the course of the series. Let's get you straight to your commentators as the action continues. Gary Jones is alongside David Tuckman.
Action is on the professor. I don't think he's going to like that.
Yeah, you don't need a PhD to throw that one away. Just the blinds, and it's a race from Brian Townsend.
Now this could be interesting. You got Brian Townsend and Tony G, 2 very aggressive players. They've already locked horns a couple of times. Not this time.
Just say you want. Just put your hand up. I'll let you have it.
That's what I did.
You didn't even have to raise. Say, I won that pot. That's it.
I want every pot though.
Against me, you just want to pick on me. I know. It's okay, I appreciate it. I won't forget that. It's starting to get on my nerves now. It's a joke. The position you want to raise me like this? You want to embarrass me on TV or what? Is that what you want to do? We'll see.
I think you embarrass yourself, Teddy.
No, you want to embarrass me. I know.
He does a pretty good job of it on his own, I think.
No, it's people like this that,
Not
that
today,
set me
though.
off.
Not today.
He thinks he belongs here.
Are you saying I don't belong here, Teddy?
You think you belong here?
You want to play me heads up? Whatever stakes you
I
want.
said, do you belong here?
Let
That's
them
what I
play
said.
heads up. We'll watch and make bets on
Play
the
whatever
side.
stakes you want. Heads up, Tony. As big as you want to play.
I plan on dealing with Tony G by just letting him talk, and then if he kind of gets out of line, I'll, challenge him to a heads-up match or something, and that'll kind of put him in his place because I know he respects my game a lot, and I don't think he would want to play me heads up.
The Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game in association with 50 London.
Round will mix together.
Button is in front of the Professor Howard Lederer. And action is on Chris Ferguson. 7-4 clubs. He's not going to play that. Phil Ivey is going to play the 9-8 of spades. He's going to raise up to 2,000.
It's cold.
Ivey as a player, he just has not gotten out of his own way today.
I really think he's been a victim of seat assignment here, with Patrick Antonius on his immediate left, Brian Townsend on his left, and then Tony G. These are all the guys that really want to gamble.
Now Lederer's got ace-jack on the button. He's got a raise and 2 callers. Can you try the squeeze play here, get some dead money in there, and try to steal the whole pot with a big, big raise?
Well, a decent-sized raise here. The only hand he really thinks he has to get through is Phil Ivey. So if he makes it like 10, 12,000 or something...
You're not going to help us to make any TV, Howard, behaving like this.
Anyone understand what he said?
There's some kind of bunny talk.
13,000.
Whether it works or not, who knows? He makes it 13,000 to go.
It's not how Full Tilt pros
He's got rid of the blinds.
And you imagine it's going to work.
Ivey's gone. That leaves Patrick Antonius
Make it
with the only other
6-4.
semi-genuine hand out there. Tony G's not likely to call with his Queen 8.
I'll call the 11. You give me 5 back if I lose the pot.
Oh.
Is that all right? No.
Trying to do a bit of negotiating, Mr. G.
Exactly. Didn't work. Howard Lederer says, fold your hand,
Good for the
and I'll
game.
take $7,500 risk-free.
I won't pay for that one.
You want to call
I finally got the biggest hand I've had all day.
It's a strong play from Howard
And
Lederer.
you
Start
kill
laying
the,
your
kill the
price.
action. I mean, make it reasonable like 7, and you get the bunny.
100 in, please. I'll take the 100 in now.
And just like that, he wins $7,000.
Ace King? Felt like Ace King.
You already had ace king. That's not his biggest hand. He had ace king suited.
I had aces already. I didn't have ace king suited today.
You got aces against me.
You had ace king suited, and you said you had
You
ace
said
king
you had
suited,
ace
and you
king
folded.
When was that?
Yeah, you know.
When there was a raise and a
The raise and
re-raise,
a
and
re-raise.
then an all in.
I had ace queen suited that hand.
Oh,
I
ace
didn't say I had
queen
ace
suited.
king.
Okay,
I had
that's
ace
more like-
queen
I thought you
suited.
said ace
Well,
king.
that's no
I
big
mean,
deal.
you're laying down Ace Queen. Now
I
you
heard you
raised
say
to
ace
13.
king.
I heard ace
Queen,
king,
that
too.
makes, yeah, that's...
Felt like
That's
Ace
no big
King.
deal. Yeah, ace
considering
king
I had
going
Queen
well.
8.
That's
Probably
amazing.
like
I was joking when I said I made some gigantic laydown. Didn't. Ace king suited. You
I
know,
thought-
I would have just pushed all in with that.
There you
Probably.
go. That's what I heard you say.
Tony G with the Queen 4 suited. He's going to play this.
I've been playing poker in a while. I didn't-
Few
Howard
limps in
Lederer's going
already.
to play this as well. And he's just going to limp in here.
Wanna see who's
I
gonna
thought I
kill
might
the
see another
action
raise
now?
there, another squeeze play.
There's Brian Townsend with his
you
pocket
people are
fives. He's
behaving.
already in the pot.
It's not for
Six.
bunnies.
Alan
Bunny
Cunningham's
will
going to
see
play this as well now.
So basically everyone's in this pot apart from Patrick Antonius.
Yes.
We should make a cat.
They
Andy
didn't invite-
Bloch made up the small to big blind with 7 deuce off. Wow.
They did not invite the Finnish superstar to the party. 7 ways to the flop.
Jack 7.
Flop is Queen, Jack 7. Couple of hearts out there. Tony G has flopped a flush draw.
This is a big flop for Tony G. He's not actually in
3,000.
front right now.
Now Alan Cunningham is. Alan's got the jack.
3,000 called.
Actually, I take that back. Phil Ivey's got a queen, and he's going to bet it. He's got Queen 5.
Patrick's the only one.
Yeah, and the Queen 4 for Tony G.
Pass.
Big flop for Tony G, actually, with top pair and a flush draw.
2 players.
And I can't imagine the 5 of Ivey's actually being relevant. So
The turn is the heart,
King.
so the 5 is completely irrelevant now.
Check.
Ivey is drawing dead.
Checked.
well, it goes check, check.
Last card. Ace.
River is the ace of diamonds, and Queen 5 has got to be looking uglier and uglier for Phil Ivey.
Well,
1,000.
Phil's made a few too many bad calls today, but this one he does not make. He gets away from the hand very, very quickly.
Queen 4 of hearts.
And Tony G wins that pot.
To get started, one player is made the nominated dealer or button. Then the two players to the left post the small and big blinds. These are force bets to get the action started. The big blind is always double the small, but unlike a tournament, the blinds rarely change. However, they are sometimes increased to spice up the action. We start here with $300 and $600. There's also an ante of $100 per player, which must be paid if they want to play in a hand. Once the blinds and antes are posted, everyone is dealt 2 cards. We have a round of betting. Then 3 cards are placed face up on the table, called the flop. These are the community cards for all the players to use. Then we have another round of betting, after which the 4th card, the turn, is placed in the middle. This is followed by some more betting and the last community card, the river. Then we finish off with a final round of betting. The best 5-card hand takes the money.
Just flop the deuce.
Pass.
Action
That
on the
hand
rock,
would've been
Andy
better if I
Bloch.
had deuce three.
Not going to play. Over to Chris Ferguson on the button.
That would have been better.
Probably feeling a little more
2,000.
confident now.
Yes, they
He's
did.
going to raise it up with ace-5. I'm not sure if Ivey's going to defend this,
Pass.
but Antonius is going to defend. He's got pocket 5s.
Certainly
He's in really
seem-
good shape here because there's only 2 aces left in the deck. Flop comes out, king 8-3,
King
not
8-3.
surprisingly. No ace, no 5.
Checked.
Check, check.
Ferguson not going to put out the continuation bet.
9. $3,500.
Patrick figures Chris Ferguson doesn't want this pot. Okay, I'll take it then.
Checks are for the bank. He decides to bet instead.
Obviously 5s are very vulnerable. Doesn't want to let an overcard come. Chris Ferguson is going to call this, though. It's a surprising call.
He possibly thinks that Patrick's just making a bet because he checked the flop.
King.
If the ace was in front, it probably is. It obviously still is. That king not going to change much. If Patrick checks this, I think you'll find Chris checking it as well.
Hoping his ace is good. And you are correct. Both players check it. And Antonius is going to win this with 2 pair. Kings and 5s with a 9 kicker.
Kings and 5s.
You had to upset me. You couldn't just keep, like, be nice to me. You just had to upset me, Brian. By raising out of position, how? Against me. That's what you did. Dirty thing.
I got to take the bunny's money.
Yeah. How'd you make me feel? And you raised more than you should. 1,800 is reasonable. Right, 2,300. Give me no shot. Don't worry. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna rip you.
And after 211 hands, Tony G still on top. He's up almost $266,000. Patrick Antonius wins that pot. And with that, he is up $120,000. Chris Ferguson, Alan Cunningham, what turnarounds. They're both in the black now. But Ivey is bleeding chips, still down $286,000.
Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.com $1 Million Cash Game in association with 50 London. We've had a chance to catch our breath after some exciting action. Let's hope for more as we rejoin our commentators Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
Andy Bloch with King Queen offsuit. He's going to raise it up.
I'm not that interested talking about it, but I just like doing it.
Yeah.
And there it is. King, queen offsuit.
Exactly what you want to do. You make it happen.
10 jack 10.
Interesting flop here for king, queen. He's got overcards. He's open-ended. Phil Ivey has an underpair. Phil Ivey's still ahead. Hard for him to know that, though.
2,500.
We get a little continuation bet from Andy Bloch and a quick call from Phil Ivey. You can see it's about a coin flip here to win this pot.
6.
Turns a 6. 6 of club changes nothing. Pot is $10,700. And Andy Bloch is going to make it $5,500, almost like a little stop bet.
What's that?
Trying to name his price.
As much as you want.
5.5.
You name the number.
And Phil Ivey's going to call this. Andy Bloch needs a 9,
More than I have,
an
I
ace,
will get
a
back.
queen, or a king to win this.
He also wins it with a jack.
Last card.
Thank you very much.
'Cause I'm sure there would
But
be
that 4 doesn't help him.
back me for any number.
Pot is $21,700, and he's going to stop now and lose this pot.
It's gone check, check. Phil's going to be pleased to
8.
finally stop the rot a bit.
2 pair.
Picks up over 10,000 in that pot.
And Andy Bloch. Well, there's Phil Ivey. Nice to see him smiling. But there's Andy Bloch, and not much has gone right for him either. He started with $100,000, and he is down, and down a lot. It's almost on life support here.
Don't forget what you said.
There it is.
Hey,
He's only got $26,800, and that's almost too little to even play in this game. It's really going to adjust his style. Here we are with the ranking of the hands. First we have high card. In this case, a king high would win it. Then we have 1 pair. In this case, pair of aces. Then 2 pair. Jacks and 9s will do it. Then 3 of a kind. 3 of the same one. 3 4s. Then we have a straight. 5 cards in order, not the same suit. Then a flush. 5 cards, the same suit. 5 hearts will do it. Then we have a full house. 3 7s, 2 kings. This would be 7s full of kings. 4 of a kind, 4 kings. Then we have a straight flush. 5 cards in order, all the same suit. And here's the most beautiful hand in the world. Royal flush. 10, 2 ace, all the same suit. Phil Ivey first to act.
You can get an edge on a tie, but you need to you need a very good cut.
Do we have greens? And there he is.
You know about that.
Phil Ivey with 5 World Series of Poker bracelets, all before the age of 30.
Cool.
Flat call with the king queen, mixing his game up a little here, Brian.
Well, if the cut is good enough, you can get it.
Alan Cunningham on the button. Wow. He's woke up with a nice hand.
Pretty strong hands if you know.
Probably wants to keep at least 1 player in here. Doesn't want to let the aces go to waste.
2001.
3,100 the raise.
Well, if somehow Chris Ferguson and Andy Bloch could combine their hands, they'd have a straight flush. But unfortunately, that's not allowed in this game.
The tie is
7
worth.
cards, and then it's worth like $10 an hour.
Cool.
And Brian Townsend is going to make the call. We're going to see this heads up.
Alan's got the one guy he probably wanted in this pot.
10, 10, deuce. It's a pretty safe flop for pocket aces.
You could afford to give a check here.
Yeah, if your opponent doesn't have a 10 already, the likelihood is you're way ahead.
4,000.
Obviously, pocket deuces would be there.
Or, you know, if you
Bet 4,000.
put a cold deck in.
Cool.
He's got a call out of Brian here. Maybe Brian's hoping to do something a bit more creative on one of the later streets, but this is Alan Cunningham he's up against.
Check.
But usually they don't reuse the card.
And would you have a check here with the aces and deuce that bluff on the river?
Check.
Well, he's probably given Brian Townsend a hand like 7s or 8s. A check's a very safe bet there. And if your opponent has got a 10,
Knowing what the bottom card won't help you.
Well, here you go. And you check the turn. You induce this bluff. It's a great play by Alan Cunningham. He is just a master.
12.
And he's going to earn himself $12,000 here. The pot is now $27,900. And I can't imagine Alan Cunningham going anywhere.
All these things can work out as well.
Is there any value to raising here with the aces?
there's absolutely no value to raising here with the aces.
Okay.
He's actually giving it plenty of thought because you know, a 10 or a deuce both now in front of him.
Each night, or
Well, Alan Cunningham, consummate professional. He's going to think about any and every play.
In Australia, they do it different.
But I can't imagine him folding this when it's all said and
You
done.
just get on turnover. You get it back. You get half back.
In the previous series, we watched him lay down aces in a very different spot to Phil Ivey. He was absolutely right. Phil had flopped a set. A little bit reluctant, but he does make the call. It's correct. He'll be pleased with that result. And Brian calling to bluff. It didn't work. Obviously didn't realise he was up against the aces for Alan Cunningham.
Patrick Antonius having a glass of bubbly, joining us again. He's in the big blind right now. Tony G not going to play this though. Alan Cunningham. He's got a nice hand there, ace queen offsuit. Once again, we call that walking back to Houston, the ace queen.
3 deuce for Phil Ivey. One thing's for certain, he can be pretty sure that his cards are going to be live against Alan Cunningham.
we can make any game.
Well, he decides to put the pressure back on.
We just have to go.
You wonder if these players will ever learn not to mess with Alan Cunningham.
No, I mean, and I think we can make a table private.
Cool. Yeah, you can just put 2 people on the
Well, Phil's took control of this pot.
Could potentially make it really big.
Anyway, I mean, I'm sure we could make it private and we can create the game for
A continuation bet by Phil Ivey should take it down.
He's actually in front now as well.
That's not going to be sitting. It looks
Pot
like
is
big.
$17,800,
Right, so you, but we heads up. So you set it up.
and he bets $15,000.
It's better if it's a single. So we
Set
have
it up.
some-
I'd expect this one to get through.
I'd like for that.
Really nothing there for Alan Cunningham,
Oh, you can create it. I'm sure.
and he's going to pick a better spot.
Yes, yeah.
It has to go up. We need a result. We don't want to play, then it's not a result.
I mean, you
There
could
would be a
just.
result if we keep playing.
You just keep playing.
Phil Ivey
Says uncle.
trying anything and everything
Defense man short.
to get himself out of this hole.
Anybody could win or lose, and anybody could beat anybody on any given day. And that's what makes poker one of the greatest games in the world, is that, you know, there's a lot of newcomers that come along that don't play poker but so long, and they end up winning big, giant poker tournaments. And, you know, you see it time and time again. And that's the great thing about poker, is that, I mean, there's just so many fresh faces all the time, and anybody can win.
And check.
$1 million cash game.
You checked it?
Cool.
Well over $1 million in this table.
Check call the whole way.
How about 9s for Alan Cunningham?
Call
He's
from
gonna
Andy
raise it up.
Bloch. It's hard to be calling with these small pocket pairs when you've only got 25,000 in front of you,
Well, look at
especially with 6 people behind you. One of them could wake up with queens like Chris Ferguson.
That's great. And then the river you can't raise.
Right.
Comes to one card on the end that you can't raise.
9 total.
That's when the bunny would.
And look at this. There's $2,000 raise from Cunningham, a $2,000 call from Bloch. And Chris Ferguson says, enough with that. I'm going to send my girls after you.
Say how unlucky.
And he makes it 9,000.
So 7,000 more to Alan.
5, 6, all in before the flop. That's pretty sick, bro.
They're the hands as they stand right now. Chris sitting on queens, Andy Bloch with 5s, and Alan Cunningham with 9s. It's 7,000 more to Alan.
If the flop comes out 9 high, Cunningham might be able to win a big pot from Ferguson, and that's probably what he's thinking.
I made it 4,000. And he just
Andy Bloch, I just don't think he has enough chips to make this call.
Alan's also got to be thinking he might be get put in the middle here. If Andy Bloch's got like a big ace or something, he might decide, I want to see 5 cards. Once Alan's called to 7,000, Andy could actually move all in
He almost sucked out.
and put him in the middle, but that's probably not going to happen considering it's only 5s in front of Andy.
That's all he needed was a little gamble.
And what did you have? 7?
I had aces.
Now at this point, the pot is 21,000, 7,000 to call, but Andy Bloch only
And he
has
said he had queens. He declared
about 20,000 left.
Queens. Oh, welcome.
I just don't
Welcome.
think he
You
can
want
make
my
this
seat?
call, and he doesn't. He throws it away.
Yours. Just waiting for you.
The man went to MIT. He knows that. And we see this heads up here. Well, not a great flop for either hand. All diamonds out there. Ferguson does not have a diamond.
Alan Cunningham does, yeah.
And I think if you're Ferguson, you've got to put one bet out there. You can't let a diamond come off and lose your hand this way.
I could not turn Bangladesh.
About 16, 17,000.
That should get it done.
Well, he's checked it. That's a very, very dangerous play with the queens.
I love it. That's my favorite.
Obviously trying to keep the pot small. He knows his queens are very vulnerable here.
Alan trying to go through his head the kind of hands that Chris might have. He checks.
They made me go to chess.
I think Alan might specifically put him on jacks or queens.
What kind of rating did you end up?
I could beat 2,500 players. When I was a kid.
Check.
Really?
Well, in order to give the free card, Chris really should have jacks or queens with a diamond in his hand.
Exactly.
Aaron Summerscale's
As it happens,
he's 25.
it's turned out okay for him. The river card changes nothing.
Yeah, Chris Ferguson dodged 2 bullets there. Alan Cunningham had 11 outs 2 times and didn't get lucky enough to hit it either way, and this is probably going to go check. Oh, wait a second. Now Chris Ferguson's going to put out a little value bet.
Well, yeah, he's pretty certain his queens are good now. Alan's got to decide what he thinks Chris has got. The only hand he can possibly beat is ace-queen. And I don't think he thinks that Chris Ferguson's going to be re-raising him in this spot with that hand. Good pass by Alan. I think he read that one just right.
It's almost as if he knew exactly where he was. Strange check on the flop and the turn by Chris Ferguson.
Didn't end up costing him the pot, which it could have.
I mean, it's hard to do from anywhere.
And after 221 hands, Tony G still in command. He's up $263,000. Phil Ivey still struggling. He is down $264,000. But look at Alan Cunningham. He is now up $11,000. Chris Ferguson up $30,000. A lot more to come. $1 million cash game.
Black call from Phil. Also a call from Brian Townsend. Howard Lederer on the button.
You can have an option. It's a skill game, so you can use paper.
They're having some.
Also call from Alan Cunningham with 8 deuce. I think that's the loosest call we've seen him make all day.
Pool is growing a lot. There's some really crappy stuff, but it's growing a lot.
Check. Check.
4 players to the flop. Ace 9 4.
Well, all the top
And
pros
check.
like full tilt these days.
Phil Ivey getting creative with his 7-3 call pre-flop. And Brian Townsend with Queen 10.
It's hard to make it good.
Amazingly enough, this deuce of hearts actually in front.
1,002.
Pool soft
You bet
build is
6 on
so
the
easy.
diamonds.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Last thing he wants is a caller right now.
Because all the tables are heads up.
4,000.
That's even worse.
8 tons of tables, and you have
A
to
re-raise with absolutely nothing from Phil Ivey.
I mean, to deal poker, you just got to shuffle it down.
Not what you want to see when you've only got the deuce of hearts in your hand.
Easier than figuring out the physics of a pool table.
Yeah, that's why we work, like, get professors to figure out the physics. Then the lobby updates are so frequent because games are finishing and there's so much capacity. It's really hard to do.
You can see the wheels
Like
turning.
poker style. It's,
And look at this.
multi-table tournament.
Good call from Alan.
Amazing instincts. He calls with the deuce of hearts.
Oh, his hand's just been counterfeited.
Yes, the deuce does not play. And these players will chop it up
It's really hard.
if, and only if, they both call. I imagine somebody's going to bet here.
Island.
And look at that.
Very interesting.
4,000.
Wow, incredible play from both of these players.
Oh, this is poker. This is poker at its finest. How can you not enjoy this? Two of the sharpest minds in poker today, battling it out. Oh, that was fun.
He's still smiling. He doesn't care that he's $270,000 behind.
It's only money. Action is on Phil Ivey here. The man who is $270,000 behind. He's going to limp in here. He's got the snowman.
Cool.
Also in is Tony G.
And he's got Queen 10 offsuit.
Cool.
That's going to bring Lederer in.
With a 5-3 of hearts, bit more creative. Alan's in as well. Pocket fours for Alan.
No ring.
Wow, six-handed. Few flops here that could get some people involved.
6-4 deuce. How about that flop for Howard Lederer? He has flopped the nuts, and we're going to get a monster here. Alan Cunningham has a set of fours. Howard Lederer has flopped the nuts. And let's not forget, Phil Ivey's got the overpair with the eights. Oh, this is going to be a doozy.
Howard trying to work out how to play this hand. Alan sitting there with a set thinking he's in great shape. Howard's going to put in a small raise by the looks of things.
And I like the raise, because you don't want to let a jack or a queen come off and kill your action from Phil Ivey. Obviously, he doesn't know that Alan Cunningham has a set behind him. And you wouldn't normally think somebody would bump it up, raise it up with the nuts.
It's going to be very hard for Alan to give 5-3 in a hand like the hand of Howard Lederer.
Now, this was an unraised pot, so anybody could have anything. You never want to go broke in an unraised pot.
Cool.
And you get a quick call from Alan Cunningham.
Pass.
Andy Bloch's gone. Let's see how Phil Ivey plays this year. Chris Ferguson, ace-8, offsuit.
Not too relevant right now, apart from the 8 in his hand, one of Ivey's outs.
No,
Not that Ivey actually has a direct out, but it'll be a card that Ivey will be hoping to hit.
Ferguson with the pregnant pause. Oh, and we've got a monster here. Look at this, a set of fours for Cunningham. The straight for Lederer, and Ivey with the overpair. And I'm not sure what Ferguson is wasting our time for.
Maybe he's trying to think of a creative play. Really wish I knew what was going through Chris Ferguson's mind. If he puts in 25,000 right now, we're going to know.
Does Chris Ferguson know he has cards?
No, it's up to you, right?
No, see, I don't think Chris Ferguson knew he had cards. There you go.
He's just scared half the table, thinking he's going to be coming for a big bet.
He's sleeping in hand.
And Phil Ivey lays down his hand there. Very good play from Phil.
Yeah, great laydown from Phil. And this is heads up here. We've got a set for Alan Cunningham and a straight for Howard Lederer. Pot is 25,000. The Queen of Spades changes nothing.
He looks the pot though. Someone just pulled a moneymaker.
Howard to act. He has the stone cold nuts right now.
Moneymaker did that the year he won, like earlier. He was just sitting there for a while.
That's not my first time.
I guess it's the mark of a champion.
Obviously, a couple of hands out there that Alan Cunningham cannot beat. He can't beat a set of sixes, and he can't beat the 3-5.
Maybe it's when Howard's at
Everything else, he's got. Can't imagine Howard Lederer has queens here. Not the way the hand played out pre-flop. Pot is 25,400.
Fear into their opponents. Other people drive sleep into them.
And the professor trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, hypnotize them and forget that they even have cards.
Phil Ivey, obviously a curious observer. He threw away his eights.
Alan watching.
Check.
As Howard plays with his chips. But he's checked Howard. Looks
Howard
like
might
he's
have checked. Yeah, he's going to set the trap here.
It's not a bad play. If he gives Alan a set.
He did an awful lot of acting there. And then, of course, the check. And Alan Cunningham thinking, what do I do here? I'll tell you, if Alan Cunningham takes the card here, I won't believe that he can't see through the cards. And look at that, he checks. It's like he has a seventh sense.
Wow.
And look at that, and the river pairs the board. It's a deuce on the river. That's going to kill Lederer. Cunningham has the full house here now. Fours full of deuces, and Lederer's hand is complete rubbish. Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Lederer is trying to get tricky on the turn, and he burns himself.
$10,000's the bet.
It's a small bet, 10,000 into a $25,000 pot. I don't see how Lederer folds this.
I think he's going to call, but I don't think he likes it. The only hand he can really give Alan on here is a set at the end of the day. It was six-handed to the flop. Alan's been pretty tight all day, but he feels like he has to make the call. He does. Well, this could have been a very big pot. They both played it very cagey. And that pot is going to go to Alan Cunningham. He lost an awful lot of his chips early on in this cash game when he flopped a set of fours. He's got a little bit of it back this time. Very, very cagey play from both players.
What a hand there. Chris Ferguson forgetting he had cards. Phil Ivey throwing away the overpair. And we get the straight against the set. Unbelievable action here.
It's nice that the hands actually got turned over for Phil to realise that he is on his game. He knows he's behind, and he got off his hand very, very quickly. He had plenty of time to think about it with Chris pausing for so long. Action with Alan Cunningham, who's now actually a decent winner in this game.
Chris Ferguson with the sevens, or as we like to call them, the axes.
It's like he had to have that hand.
Maybe because
8,000 total.
It's like what limps in and can call 9 on the flop that can't bet the turn, except like some genius trips. Unless you were slow playing. I mean, I don't think he was, though.
Well, it's a raise on the button from Andy Bloch. Chris knows it's not going to cost him too much because Andy Bloch only started this hand with around 20,000. Sticks the re-raise in. Andy's got to decide whether this is the hand he wants to gamble with.
King 4, not necessarily the hand you want to gamble with. Now, Chris Ferguson, by putting that raise in, he's pretty much pot committing himself. He's telling Andy, I am going to call your all-in bet, right?
Exactly.
And he calls, I can get away from it on the river.
And Chris Ferguson picks up that
pot. Yeah, for sure. Well, but he might get away from it if I move in. I'm going to move in.
Well, Tony G is done for tonight. How up are you, and how well do you think you've played today?
I'm up close to 270. I'm up pretty well, but I didn't play well today. I guess because I'm in front and I don't want to lose the lead, so I'm not playing my game because of the trophy. So mathematically it's incorrect, and I'm not playing for the money that much, although it's quite a lot of money. I missed it last year. I was second, so I really want to have a chance to win the trophy and be the top winner. Seems every cash game I play on TV is I'm getting second place, so I want to see if I can do it today. But I think my best strategy now is to declare. I've got a score on the board and see if someone can chase it down. It's okay.
Still plenty of banter with you at the table. Have you enjoyed the tussles you've had over the last few sessions?
Yeah, it's been fun. I've did all I could to tilt people up or whatever strategy I could use, since I haven't got that much skill in poker, so I have to use my banter.
After 225 hands, Tony G stands on top of the leaderboard, $266,000 in his pocket. Patrick Antonius right behind him, he's up $117,000. Phil Ivey at the bottom still, trying to crawl his way out. He's down $264,000. Brian Townsend also down almost $150K. It's the FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game in association with 50 London. And we've got a new player in the game. We say goodbye to winner, big winner, Tony G. And we say hello to poker journalist turned poker extraordinaire, Roland DeWolf.
Well, it's very deep stacked poker, so I don't think people will be trying to bully me. I don't think they'll be trying to bully me because it's very deep stacked. There's a lot of play, and they know that I'm not really the person to be bullied, so I don't think people will try that. But they obviously will be looking at me from a new perspective and trying to figure out how I'm playing on this very day.
And there he is, Roland DeWolf. He's really burst onto the poker scene the last few years.
Double? What?
Have you played with him before, Gary?
Yeah, I've had the misfortune of having him on my immediate left at the Pot Limit Omaha event at the World Series of Poker in Europe. In fact, he managed to knock myself and Donica O'Day out in exactly the same hand, where he decided a queen flush draw was enough to have a gamble with against my my set and Donica O'Day's two pair.
Well, what should we expect from Roland DeWolf in this game?
Well, I was impressed with his play last year when he played in this same event. He managed to pick up a little bit of money there, and I think he's a bit more creative. I expect a little bit of action from Roland today.
Okay.
And the button sits in front of Chris Jesus Ferguson. Small blind, still $300. Big blind, $600. Ante is $100. And Brian Towns in his first act. That's SB Rugby online. And there's Roland DeWolf, new to the game. If he wants to win the coveted trophy, he's got a lot of gambling to do.
Yeah, 266,000 is going to be a difficult target for him.
2,100 to go.
And this is an interesting way to mix it up. Brian Townsend is actually raising it with 7-4 of diamonds.
Well, Andy Bloch without much money at the start of this hand. This might be the one he's looking for to move all in with. We've got Chris Ferguson behind him, as well as the blinds.
Yeah, Andy Bloch not with much money at all.
Okay, all in. 19.5.
And that's probably the right play there. He has less than 20,000. Why not pot commit yourself?
Pass.
Yeah, there's no better way to pot commit yourself than actually just shoving them all in the middle.
And unfortunately for Brian Townsend, he's got 7 high.
It's not my favorite hand. I know, I'm crazy like that, Howard.
And Brian says it's his favorite hand. Probably wants to see a flop before he commits any more money.
Yeah, I don't think he fancies sticking 17,500 in there with that hand, though.
600 to play.
That was a nice 4 in the
Like Jack 3, that's a bad one.
Not the hand he wants to get his feet wet with.
Thing there that looks jackish for a second. Where it's a 3.
2,000.
2,000 to play.
You kind of have to catch it right.
Andy Bloch going to raise it up here with ace-4.
I think I've even played it before on accident. No, I mean,
How much you playing, Andy?
20. 20 plus what I won last time.
I've had a couple
19.6
weird
plus whatever the pot was last time.
One time I thought I had...
Andy Bloch raising it up.
2,000 call.
Patrick Antonius is going to call. Brian Townsend not going to call, and we're going to see this heads up.
I had like 8-4. I mean, it was
We have the Rock, the Bloch against
that was
Antonius.
I ever played in my life because I just have no idea.
Andy Bloch in position here.
Jack 10.
Something.
All diamonds there. Jack 10.
I don't know what happened. It was the weirdest
Antonius
thing. I
with
just
top
like,
pair. Neither player has a diamond.
Check.
Goes check, check.
It's playing 40-80.
The
7.
turn brings the 7 of clubs. Anybody with a 9 would have a straight, but nobody has a 9 here.
That's 6-3, I got 6-4. That'll be a pair of 4s.
Antonius still with the best hand here. Andy Bloch is going to need an ace and only an ace to win this.
3,500.
But I'm not sure if he sticks around.
That one scared me. I mean, because I still remember that hand. I mean, that was a weird.
He's going to check his cards, see, make sure he doesn't have a diamond, and
I
toss him in the
couldn't
muck.
even, like, I was trying to think, like, had I had queens, I mean, I couldn't even come up with, like, where.
Patrick
how
picks
I
that pot up. Pretty simple. Top pair with his queen jack.
Like, I just completely. It was. He said actually. He said that.
Button sits in front of Brian Townsend.
Around the table.
SB Rugby,
For your running
his
name.
internet
You have to turn your
name.
basically.
Small blind is
100.
Roland DeWolf. Big blind, the Professor Howard Lederer. And the action is on the 2005 World Series Poker Player of the Year, Alan Cunningham.
So like if he had been there and I just said,
It's
hey,
actually the guy who gets screwed is the last guy. I think the first and second players have the same.
No, but
so if we were around the table, you know how
He's not going to play.
if I just said, you know what,
Andy Bloch with just a little over $21,000. Really on life support, he's going to throw away his king deuce.
right? I mean, it's no. I mean, you aren't going to want to pick 20.
Looks like Phil's found something he's happy with.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, everyone are going to stay.
2,000.
Great
2,000.
psychological play.
Pass.
That's what I would pick.
The old 69er.
2,000 scope.
From
Ace
Mr.
10.
Ivey.
Yeah, and Patrick Antonius with ace 10.
Pass.
These two going to see the flop.
Two players.
We're like trying to.
Antonius with the best hand position.
drunk guy who didn't care.
But Phil Ivey with the momentum right now.
Typical. Very typical.
238.
And he picked the worst numbers. He like picked
Now the player hits anything here. 8-3 deuce rainbow. Ivey's going to put a continuation bet though.
4,000.
4,000's the bet.
Well, his son got scooped, right?
Son got scooped in every shot.
So he lost 15. I lost 5.
Patrick Antonius way ahead here, but he doesn't know that.
Did you win?
And he was thinking about raising, but he just gives it up.
Total.
And Ivey takes it.
The strength of the pre-flop aggression followed by the continuation bet on the flop. Enough for Phil Ivey in that pot. Patrick Antonius, who hasn't really put a foot wrong in this cash game so far.
It's a nice stadium, isn't it?
And Phil Ivey adds to his stack.
Well, at the end of tonight's show, there is a red warning for Howard Lederer, Andy Bloch, Brian Townsend, and especially for Phil Ivey. The good news, though, for Tony G is that he has pulled further ahead in the race to be crowned champion. We'll see you all next time here at the FullTiltPoker.com $1 million cash game, but from all of us...